we're ready to talk. And Mr. Campbell, what's your first name?
William Joseph Campbell III.
All right. Well, this is
And you're known as Joe,
Yeah, Joe.
because this is Joe's Steakhouse in Conrad, Montana.
Yep.
And how did you come to have this steakhouse, Joe?
Well, we were living in Kalispell, and my father was on vacation, and he said, you know, I got this building that I've been looking at on the internet for about 2 years. It was for sale, and we happened to just take a Sunday drive, me and my dad, and we drove over the Highway 2 to come. We were in Kalispell. We come over here, and the Gustafsons saw us looking in the windows on a Sunday, and they had the keys, and they let us in, and we came in and we took a look around, and we saw that there was enough space to have a restaurant and living quarters upstairs, and covering this floor here was a whole bunch of carpet and whatnot. We picked up a couple of these heater vents and got down underneath to look and see that there was some real hardwood, and because we saw the hardwood in certain areas, but it wasn't exposed in this area, and I wanted to see if it went everywhere in the entire building, and so it did. You know, we found holes over there and in the main dining room, and looked down and we could see the tongue and groove, and we could see that it was the same exact stuff as in the banquet room, and as the same stuff as upstairs in the old hotel. And that hardwood comes from Wells Delta, Michigan, and it's 100 years old and stamped, you know, and it's the A.P. Stephenson company or something. I.P. Stephenson. I can go grab a board after this and.
that's all right. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
But it's stamped number 1, and it's some of the stuff down here. Upstairs is number 1. Down here is stamped number 2, and it's funny that their number 2 contained a large amount of bird's eye and other defects that make the wood prettier, in my opinion. And we took off a whole bunch of layers to expose this, and some of the tar and glues and adhesives that they used was different. So this floor chipped right off in the bar, and the main dining room was a tarry substance. It was very sticky, and it never got removed completely. And we left it. We left that black surface, and then over in the other room, what we call the hostess station area, that one was also crispy, and that one came off very white. Colored floor, and it's all maple floor, and it's called rock maple, and it's really, really, really hard. You can see this stuff's been here for 100 years, and there's hardly any wear on it.
When was the building?
1908.
And
The building was finished.
And it was a hotel?
It was a hotel and a mercantile down here on the bottom, and it was called the Hotel Ryan. And actually, my grandmother's name is Ryan. My mom's side of the family is named Ryan.
Did she have any connection?
We don't really know. Maybe
Okay.
we'll find out someday.
Your mother was not from Chola or
No.
Conrad.
No.
Nobody was from Conrad in your family. This was
No, not that I'm aware of. We came over, and we've brought a few of our family members over after the move. My grandma came over from Darby. That's where I was born, in Darby, Montana.
Oh, you were born in Darby?
Yeah, and
Oh.
she lived in Darby, and I'd come up here in the summer times from California on vacation, and we would get to go fish and hike
Yeah.
in these
I
streams.
know
And
Darby.
so as soon as I was 20 years old, or 23, I moved back. I definitely wanted to live here as an adult.
Did you have a job when you came
Well,
back?
when I moved here, I applied at Triple Creek Ranch in Darby, and I worked there for about a year and a half, and we cooked for quite a few multi-million-dollar clients.
Yeah.
The cheapest room there is $700 a night.
Yeah, that's a pretty fancy place.
Yeah, and the average room is $1,000 or $1,200 per night. But it's all inclusive. You can say, I want filet mignon steak with a baked potato, and I want to have Maker's Mark, Jack Daniels, or whatever whiskey you want. You can tell them, I want to have Long Island iced teas ready to go in my cabin when I get there, and they'll have all the bottles laid out for you because it's $1,200 a night.
Yeah,
But,
that was I think that was the highest priced dude ranch in Montana.
Is that right?
And that was what, 15 years ago?
Well, I worked there about 10 or 11 years ago.
Okay, right. So this place, you got some notes, I see.
Yeah, well,
We've got a couple of questions for you, but go ahead and say what's there.
I wanted to talk about my past and where I
That's
worked
fine.
before, but I
How'd you
started
get
out at the Main Street Cafe with Big Jim Orick, and after that I worked at Brookside Country Club, and we worked right next to the Rose Bowl. I cooked in the club office. We made appetizers and desserts for them while the game was playing, while the different college games, because I believe the Trojans played there every week.
Okay.
And after that, I started chef school. And when the country club found out that I started chef school, they gave me full-fledged chef duties, and I was able to cook for 80 people, 6-course meal, and then I would drive it out to their house, and then serve it and come back and wash all the dishes and go home. And because of that, I get to count chef school and work as 2 years of experience, because I worked about 50 to 60 hours in 4 days, and then in the other 3 days I went to school 33 hours per week.
Okay.
And at the country club we worked for quite a few different multi-million-dollar clients, like the owner of the Dodgers. We did a wedding for them, and that was a lot of fun. After that, I moved to a place called Chefs on Location, and we cooked for music, television, and music videos, television, and commercials and movies. And I worked for a lot of different people. I worked for Jennifer Lopez on one of her music videos, and Dr. Dre and Eminem on their music video Guilty Conscience. I cooked for French Stewart on one of his he did a commercial, and I cooked for Bruce Dern. I cooked for Jason Alexander. He's on the Seinfeld, and he was in an ice skating movie where he played the Zamboni driver.
I remember that.
And I cooked for Goldberg, the wrestler, while he hosted a freestyle rap battle with KRS-One. And he hosted it with Sway and Tech.
Okay.
And KRS-One was one of the people that battled, and Eminem was also one of the people that battled. And also Larry David, he's the producer of Seinfeld. Then I got a job working for Warner Brothers. Sorry, I messed up here. I got a job working at the co-op. And that's where I cooked for people from all different nationalities, the Italians and Swedish, and Japanese, Taiwanese, Indian. And I learned a lot of authentic recipes from the people from their homeland.
Okay.
And so that's why I know different tricks from different areas. And it's really, I had a student staff. They had to be enrolled in college, and they had to pull a shift in the kitchen as part of their rent. If they didn't show up for that, they had to pay $100 extra per month. So I had these men from Asia that were just wonderful with the knife, and I'd say, will you please chop these 2 boxes of potatoes? Will you please chop these 2 boxes of bell peppers? And I'd show them how I want it cut, and I would walk away and come back, and it'd be done. And a little bit after that, I got a job working for Warner Brothers, and I cooked for ER for a couple of weeks, Gilmore Girls, Friends. I cooked for a Harry Potter celebration dinner. It's probably at one of the end of their movies or something. Drew Carey show. I cooked for the Friends 100 episode party, and I also cooked in the cafeteria at the Warner Brothers lot. And occasionally there was a star there eating close to us, and we got to eat lunch with Ray Romano. He was sitting over there doing some notes.
Okay.
I cooked for one scene on the Road to Perdition movie where Tom Hanks steps out of his car and mows down his enemies in the rain. And I remember that because they were pumping the rain down while I was cooking. I didn't really get to see much because I was working while the movies were having their filming. But I know that that's the scene that I cooked for because I only did 2 days on that one. And like I said, it was raining. I'm pretty sure that I cooked for the Becker show, but I didn't know it was the Becker show at the time. But I recognized the TV set, the street, and it fits with the times that I worked. The Becker show started up about the time that I worked on that one. And then after that, I worked for a Colombian woman named Ruth Dale, and that was in Glendale and La Crescenta. We worked for more millionaires at that place. One day I made $240 in 4 hours for washing dishes. It happened to be New Year's Eve, but I also got tipped $100 that night. It was a really good night for me. Right there, then I moved to Montana to Triple Creek. I was born there, and we had to move when I was 3 years old because the sawmill burned down. But we had an active ranch with, cows, horses, pigs, chickens, rabbits, bees, and vegetables. My dad milked the cows and took the honey and sold that. When the sawmill burned down, it was rebuilt 6 months after. So during that 6-month period, he would sell all of his honey and milk for $140 per month, and that was enough to pay for all of the feed for all of the animals.
Okay.
So we always had milk, we always had eggs, and we always had meat and vegetables for $140, and that was in '81 or so.
Okay.
But the second time the sawmill burned down, we had to move to California, and that's why I lived over there for a while. But when my wife and I were living in Kalispell, I worked for a man named Brian McGuire. Well, first I was at the Big Spoon Cookhouse, and I cooked for a Hawaiian, and I learned a lot of cool Hawaiian recipes. And then I moved to Shamrock Catering, Kitchen to Kitchen with Brian McGuire, and we worked for more millionaires. I cooked for a bishop at the time at Salmon Lake. There's that big, huge mansion out there on the lake, and my boss went there for a week and cooked for the bishop, and I sent food to be served from the main kitchen. I also cooked for the Bledsoe family and the Manning family. They both have houses out there in the Kalispell area. And I cooked for the owners of Coke and the previous owners of Anheuser-Busch. I also did a lot of work for John Lithgow at the Big Fork Community Theater. He came into my restaurant a while back. He's actually related to a few people in this area. And I didn't want to bother him, but I really wanted to go out there and tell him that I was the person that cooked a large percentage of the food that was served at the Big Fork Theater parties. He would throw benefit parties,
Okay, we got some questions for you.
Yes.
David, do you want to start out?
I was fascinated by the report there. So you came here how many years ago?
10 years ago. We've been at this location.
10 years
at
ago.
At this building in Conrad.
And the attraction of Montana for you has been what?
Well, the fact that there's less people on the trailheads, streams, and points of interest. I love the woods, and I love fishing, and in California there's a lot of people at the trailheads. In fact, you have to sometimes walk 2 miles just to get to the trailhead, and then walk 2 miles to get to the waterfall. Which, for some people, they want to walk 4 miles, that's okay, but there's such congestion in California that I just didn't want to be with that many people.
And you find in Montana you don't have that?
Well, originally I was in the Bitterroot, and when I was there, it was on the quieter side. That was in 2000 to about 2007. I was in the Bitterroot, and it was pretty quiet. But boy, when you go back there nowadays, it's very, very, very congested with people. It's a very popular area.
When you're running a restaurant, you don't have a lot of time to go fishing, do you?
No, I don't.
And do you have children?
I have 6 children.
Oh my goodness, are they in school here in Conrad?
Oh yeah,
Okay. What's the oldest and youngest?
Well, my oldest is 12,
Okay.
and she works in the restaurant, actually. She's a waitress on Sundays,
Okay.
and sometimes she's my sous chef when I don't have someone else.
I gotcha.
My youngest is 18 months.
Okay. Well, you had one here last night.
That was Elijah, my
Yeah.
youngest.
She's lovely.
It's now you come under regulations by the city and the state, I expect. How have you found working with the city of Conrad here?
Just fine, just fine. I have no problems. You know, a lot of people think that the health department is the enemy of the restaurant, but I find it my friend because I want to serve good food, and I want to serve quality food and safe food, and they can help me ensure that everything that I send out is going to be, you know, high quality and safe.
And is that inspection by city employees or state?
It's the county.
The county employees,
Yes,
Monterey County.
yes.
And so how is working with the county? Do you have any other contact with them besides paying your taxes and being inspected?
Nope. Nope. Not at all.
How about the state?
Well, you know, yeah. I mean, the fire department, the fire marshals had to come in. They all have to congregate with one another. The fire marshal, building inspector, and the health inspector all have to agree that I passed inspections. And then once I pass all three of those inspections, then they're all good to go.
And how about the state of Montana?
That's the we also, I guess we have to deal with the Department of Revenue and the Liquor Control Board and the Gambling Control Board. We had to be inspected a few times by the gambling control people, and not really inspected, but just shown the rules and regulations and such.
Is the liquor board easy to work with? I mean, having the bar is a different thing than
It was kind of hard. I'll be honest with you. It felt to me like they changed administration about 4 times while we were in application for liquor license, because we got a new caseworker, I think once or twice, and they didn't know exactly what they were doing. And I don't like to badmouth,
Right.
but to be honest with you, they sent that inspector up from Great Falls to explain some rules and to have us sign paperwork that the administrators messed up on our paperwork and had to send him down, and then we had to pay to be inspected, and I think it was $600 or $700 extra. See, first off, you have to give them $1,000 to start the application, and so because we were inspected and because that man drove over here a couple of times, we had to pay about $600 or $700 more because of their mistakes.
Yeah.
And I really didn't want to say that because I don't
Well,
like
this
to
is.
badmouth, but
Don't worry, we're not. This isn't anyway like that. We're concerned
Sure.
about the nature of Montana now.
Well, but was there an additional expense beyond that to get a liquor license?
no.
And the restaurant license was not a spendy thing.
No. I mean, we had to do certain things to pass inspection, which was like ensure the floor was stable and put baseboards in certain
Yeah.
areas. So it wasn't too expensive. No.
I had a restaurant for a while, 4 years after I retired, so that was in New York, so I'm a little familiar with what David's asking here. But we better get on. We'll run out of time.
And on the state government generally, what sort of contact have you had with state government, and what's your feelings about the state government and Montana, how things are working in Montana?
We're doing pretty good. I was excited to see that Greg Gianforti wanted to get rid of the equipment tax because I don't feel that tax is just. We pay thousands of dollars for this equipment, and every 2 years they assess its value and then assign you a tax based upon its value. And you could buy it at the thrift store or pawn shop for 1/4 of its value, but they'll come in and assess you its full price. And speaking of the building here, The building is worth quite a bit. I always say, and it raises eyebrows, but if I knocked it down tomorrow, I could sell the bricks and the boards for $1 million. Like that. Because used bricks are worth quite a bit of money. And when you break down a brick building, you lose 25%. I've talked to people. You know, I'm not intending to knock this building down. I'm just talking about its value. And the boards here are old growth timber. I had a building inspector tell me that the 2x4s in here are the equivalent of a 2x8 today, because they're so tightly wound of old growth pine, and they're so strong. And but the thing is I can't get a loan based upon that value. They won't give you a loan past $100,000 or $120,000. But the state taxes me based upon this building being worth $250,000. And I say, how about you tax me on what the banks are saying that it's worth, because they won't give me another dime. But you want to say it's $250,000 worth. And I might be wrong. They might be saying it's worth $280,000 or $290,000. But I can't get more than $120,000.
So were you able to finance with local banks?
We did not. We went with U.S. Bank.
Okay.
We are trying currently to get finance for a loan. We purchased the liquor license from we just got a full liquor license on January 27th, 2017, and that was the day that we could start using it.
Yeah.
And we
Has that improved your income from the
yeah, it's helped out quite a bit. We've seen beer and wine actually rise along with the alcohol sales every week. Currently,
Really?
every single week since we've had more and more sales.
Okay. Is it equal to half of what you sell in the restaurant? Or is it that much?
We don't really know. I don't really know. It's probably a lower percentage.
Okay.
We sell more food than anything. You know.
Well, you have a bigger payroll because you got to keep bartenders on, and that's,
I staff the bar myself, and I'm on salary, so I
that's a good
cover
thing.
the hours.
that's a
you
good
know.
thing. Yeah. Okay.
But you combine that with cooking.
Yes, I come over at 9 p.m. To midnight on Thursday, Friday, and Saturdays, and we're probably going to start doing it on Wednesdays also.
Oh.
9 p.m. to midnight, and sometimes I'll stay open if there's customers. You know.
So what time you start in the morning with your baking and stuff?
Well, my father starts at about 6:30 a.m. and he gets out of here at 10 or so, 9:30, 10. I start at about 10 a.m. and I get out of here at sometimes 9 and sometimes midnight.
So now, what about the national government and the administration that we have now?
Really doesn't affect me much.
It doesn't.
Not to my knowledge just yet. I'm worried about the higher minimum wage. I'm a little bit worried, but I'm not really worried. I want actually to pay my staff a little bit more and charge a little bit more in my restaurant. It's just really hard because, we have customers that come in here and walk right out because of the price. And I want to raise my prices because I want to pay my staff more.
Uh-huh.
And I want to make it more comfortable for them. I want to pay myself a little bit more too.
Do they live off tips?
Tips are a huge amount.
Yeah. That was the case in our restaurant.
Yeah, we pay our waitresses minimum wage or more.
Which is what, $6 in Montana?
It's like $8.75 ish. We just pay them $9.
Can they double that with tips?
Yeah, sometimes. Sometimes they make more tips than they make wages.
Right. That was always the case with our staff.
Yeah. In Montana, it has some weird rules, and you can pay your staff a wage that equals minimum wage with the tips. So if they're getting $6 an hour, you give them $2.75.
Yeah, that's not good.
That's
for them.
legal, though.
You can't live off that.
No. Well, you couldn't. But you could sometimes if you were paid like $2 an hour, but you went home with $400 in tips.
Well, of course. But
That's the way it is in Texas, I'm told. In Texas, they pay their waitresses $2 or $3 an hour, but they come home with $400 in tips.
well, in New York, we paid $5 an hour.
Yeah.
I believe that. But they'd average $100 on a shift.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. It's worth it.
But in Conrad, people don't make that much money. So I'm curious.
Some people do make that much money. These ranchers are very profitable.
Okay.
They have multi-million-dollar estates. Every one of these ranches is worth above $500,000.
Right.
They all have 300 acres. You got $500,000 just like that.
But often ranchers don't like to spend money on food.
They do at harvest time.
Okay.
But they also own $500,000 combines too.
I know that.
You know,
He's a
so
rancher
these
right
people,
there.
these people really do have. I mean, it's a lot of money to spend on that combine, and then the state taxes you 10%
But
every
my
2
question
years.
is, do they spend the money in your restaurant?
Yeah, we do get a large percentage of the farmers and ranchers from the area. Trouble is, they come in here for fish because they own beef. You know.
Can you get fish?
Yeah, I get some good fish and shrimp. You know,
Who's your provider?
we go with Cisco. Cisco,
All right.
Cisco has some
was
good
ours
stuff.
also. Okay.
You know, I like to tell people if you live over here in Montana, your fish is actually just as fresh as if you're on the coast. It's frozen, obviously, but when they're out fishing for it, they freeze it immediately,
Right.
and it stays frozen the entire time that it comes to this restaurant.
So Cisco delivers from Great Falls?
They obviously have a hub down there,
Yeah.
but I believe that they come out of Billings. These guys.
Wow. That's it.
There's people that comes out of Missoula for that side of the mountain,
Yeah.
and this side comes from I
Okay,
believe.
so you
Billings.
can get pretty much what you want for your menu?
Yeah, we tried to go local when we got here, but the vegetables don't grow
Yeah.
the same around here. Certain vegetables just like they don't grow. They can't grow potatoes so good around here, or bell peppers so good around here. And so we buy from Spokane Produce.
Okay.
It comes in from Spokane, and they get it off a boat, and it's real fresh stuff. That's the exact same place where Maelstrom Air Force Base gets all their produce, and Super One Foods and IGA Foods. They get a percentage from it.
We live in Seattle, and
Yeah.
Charlie's Produce is a big outfit out there that goes all the way to Spokane,
Mm-hmm.
and all the way. So
You're,
Anyway.
you're saying that the Spokane gets it off the boat.
Well, the boats come from South America with vegetables and produce. They also come from California on a boat northward to the docks in Washington, and the boat docks is where a huge percentage of vegetables come from. Like I don't know exactly how it is in Washington, but in Los Angeles, the vegetables come off of the boat from South America, and they go right to the main Los Angeles produce market.
So these are refrigerated boats?
Yeah, or I would assume so. Some of the Dole boats are they're hugely refrigerated. They're sub-zero, or not sub-zero, but sub-refrigeration. I know that Dole keeps its stuff cold and dark for a large period of time, and in transport so that it stays nice and fresh. And they take out the oxygen and replace it with a different inert gas.
So, got any idea how the food gets from Seattle to Spokane? From Spokane, it comes to you by truck.
Yeah. I don't really know. I'm guessing truck.
Charlie's Produce is huge. It was originally a Chinese guy, and they have trucks, maybe 100 trucks sitting there, and they go all over the state every day. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Spokane hub that he buys from. But Cisco is huge also,
Right.
and
Yeah, we see a lot of Cisco around Billings.
right.
And
I got a couple other kinds of questions. I know you got to get back to the kitchen, but you talk to your customers quite a bit.
I try to.
I mean, you came out and visited us.
Yeah, I
which-
try to come out and talk
Which was
if I
great.
can.
Do you find people generally satisfied with the way Conrad and Montana is now, or do they?
Some people complain.
What do they complain about?
I don't really. I can't. that's the reason why I can push the prices down. That what costs me. You know, currently a burger costs me, I don't know, $1.80 for
Yeah.
the burger and all the lettuce and tomatoes. And
So what are your kids pay? Your kids are going to school? Or
yeah.
do you know what they're
I
paying?
get free lunch. My kids get free lunch. I don't make much money. But what's happening is the lunch ladies are given what they're to work with.
I see.
And
they make it.
The FSA people, I believe they go with FSA. That's a different company than Cisco. It's actually the same exact company. They could be owned by the same person. They use exactly the same purveyors. They all sell Hillshire Farms meat. They all sell Cattleman's Barbecue. They all sell Rich's dough.
Okay.
But they convinced the lunch ladies what to buy because it costs this much per person. So you can get this chicken fried steak patty because it's only 87 cents each, and your total plate cost is going to be 97 cents. I'm just making stuff up.
Right.
But I used to cook for school kids just for a second there when I worked for Ruth Dale. We landed a contract where I cooked for a Christian school for 4 days a week. And we went with that. We were cooking for FSA, working with FSA, and they showed us products that the other schools are using and that we can put on there, and it costs this much, and we were paid like $3 a kid, and we were giving them food for $1.15 per kid or so, you know. And that was 20 years ago or 15 years ago. But it's just, it seems to me that you know, I don't know everything. I think that the school gets paid by the state based upon how many kids are in attendance per day. They use that money to pay for their teachers, their lunch ladies, and their food. And if there's any sort of budget of per kid per day, and they're buying that crap from FSA, they could buy a sack of potatoes instead of buying a box of hash browns. And like currently, the reason why I buy from Spokane Produce is because my 50-pound sack of potatoes cost me $8.25. And when I make a set of hash browns on the plate, it costs $4 because I have to bake that potato specifically for a certain amount of time, shred it, add a bunch of butter. The butter costs way more than the potato. Butter probably costs about 50 cents because I put a couple ladles on there, and I use real butter. I don't use fake. But the potatoes itself is 15 cents or 10 cents because it's like a half a pound of potato, and if you do all the math, that's like 10 cents a pound for the potatoes, and 20 cents a pound, excuse me. And so 10 cents for half a pound. So if the school went and bought potatoes at my price, then they would be able to afford to buy a better cut of meat, not like something that comes out of a box.
Can your kids come home and eat lunch if you wanted to?
It'd be really hard. They hoop and holler. They eat my salad bar a lot. They'll walk up and just, my salad bar is really good. It's got fruit, cottage cheese, lettuce, and it has soup. Sometimes they don't like the soup, but sometimes I make a really good soup. But yeah, they come and just have salad bar, and it's filling enough. There's lots of fruits and vegetables like carrots, celery, cucumbers, and tomatoes, all cut fresh in the morning. And so they really dig that salad bar. But yeah, it'd be really hard because I'm cooking for customers.
Right.
And I always wanted to have a restaurant where my kids can come and hang out. But I cannot talk to them and cook at the same time. I have to have my
It's
concentration.
amazing to me you've got 6 kids and run a restaurant.
Right.
Your
Well,
wife
I
must
couldn't do it
really
without my wife. She's amazing.
She must be a whiz.
Yes.
So, but getting back to the issue of the country as a whole, I mean, you've been around a lot, more than most people in Conrad maybe. Do you find Conrad quite a bit different than most of the rest of the country, or a lot of?
Considerably different.
What do you like? Is it, and you like it here?
Yeah, I mean it's a great place for the kids to grow up. You know, I told my sisters, because my sisters live in California still, and they're both school teachers, and one of my sisters has kids, and I don't know what they were talking about, but I made the comment that there was a bike festival at the school. They had bike
Bike-a-thon or
obstacle course,
something?
and there was like 150 bikes there, and 4 of them were locked, and none of them got stolen. And when I was a kid, we had a bicycle enclosure. All of the bikes were locked, and they locked the gate, and the bikes were stolen. And it's just a different area. And you could leave your cars unlocked. I don't really recommend it because I like to keep honest people honest. But I know quite a few people that leave their doors unlocked in their house. And times are changing. Every once in a while you hear a rash of break-ins, and you should keep your doors locked. But
do you think the cops, law enforcement's pretty good in Conrad?
nah. Well, this is a training town for police.
Really?
That's what I'm told. It's in Conrad, if you don't hear a rumor about yourself in 2 minutes, you should start one. But it's a training town, so we always get new cops that come in here to learn how to be a cop. And so they don't know me. They don't know me. They don't know you. They don't know anybody in town. And so it's kind of like an impersonal type of thing. And to be honest, I don't talk to cops because I don't break the law. And so I don't really know them. They don't really know me.
Okay.
Do
they bother your kids at all?
Not at all. They live right. I mean, the county sheriffs are right at my back door.
Okay.
No, they're really cool. They're really cool people. The sheriffs.
The sheriffs.
Sheriffs. I know quite a few of them, and they maintain their position. They don't keep getting new sheriffs all the time. Or new deputies rather.
And the quality of teaching is okay so far as
yeah.
Okay.
I know quite a few of the teachers here. They come in my restaurant, and they're good people.
As good as you'd have got down in California?
Better. I had a few gems of teachers that were really, really, really good.
Okay, religion. Is Conrad open to different faiths, or is it all pretty much one?
People are very religious in this town.
Really?
There's a Catholic population, there's a Lutheran population, there's a Christian population. There's probably like others that I don't. There's a large Mormon population. There's like 21 or 27 churches
Really?
in Conrad.
Right there.
There's a large number.
There's about 2,000 people here.
2,600.
Okay. Well, the county has more, and I suppose
County has like 9,700.
Yeah.
I checked all the numbers when I moved in because I wanted to know who I was cooking for.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Politics, most people Republican.
Yeah.
Conservative.
Oh yeah.
That's a good word, to be conservative.
Yeah.
Is there pretty good support for President Trump here?
There is. There's both parties everywhere. This state, I guess we always elect Republican governors and a Democrat.
Okay.
Anyway,
anyway,
Democrat governor, Republican legislators.
Yeah, right.
And I guess that's what we do every year. But
Do you watch? You don't watch TV. You don't have time.
I watch a little bit, but no, we watch Netflix. And we stopped with the cable, and we went with like Netflix and Hulu, and it's a little bit cheaper.
Yeah, your kids watching Netflix?
Yeah, they do that quite a bit. There's lots of good children's programming on there.
There are.
There's also a lot of crap too, but
But you can pick and choose. I watch Netflix a lot.
Unfortunately, the kids can choose whatever they want, and we have to guide them and help them make good choices. They do pretty good.
My granddaughter has very vigorous guidance from her father about Netflix.
Oh yeah. Some of the cooler shows are Master Chef Junior.
Yes.
I get teary-eyed when I watch that show because those kids are awesome. And Zoe cooks with me, and she watches that show and she learns. And I want her to maybe not go on that show because it'll probably be gone, But I want her to learn. She is amazing. She's learning every position in the kitchen, and
she's 12 years old.
12 years old, and I make the joke that I'm going to tell the principal that I'm going to pull her out of high school, and he's going to give her credit for the amount of things that she learns
Right.
here. Because there are programs in California called ROP, Regional Occupational Program, where as a senior, once you're done with your regular classwork and you have some elective time, you can go get a job in a different field. You know, I went as a pet, I don't know what to call it, but I learned how to take care of pets and how to wash them. And I worked in a pet store for a period of time when I was in high school. And there was other kids that worked in a restaurant while they were in high school. They would go there for 2 hours a day,
Yeah.
in 2 periods, and they would work a shift, about an hour and a half shift every day. But that's experience. And then when they go get a job, they can be like, yeah, I worked at the Main Street Cafe. I was the dishwasher there. You can call my boss. And then that's a step in the right direction for your first job interview.
You bet.
You know.
I really. So you're pretty progressive, in my point of view, about the way you think about education. And I think you could say the same thing about wellness. You're concerned about the quality of food.
Well,
And
I
health.
just started a diet, and I eat 51% or more fruits and vegetables, and it is amazing. I lost 25 pounds like that. I mean, just like overnight. And I lost about 7 or 8 inches on my belt, like just like that. And I'm struggling right now, as any diet. It's hard to stay on the diet, you know. But and it's a hard diet to follow because you have to have fresh fruits and vegetables available. But I've developed a few different dishes that taste amazing. And you can't even tell that there's so many fresh fruits and vegetables. And then the dish that I created it's called a raw burrito or raw burrito or something like that, and it's got carrots and cabbage, tomatoes and bell peppers raw, a little bit of onion, and it's got some fresh salsa in it. And the dish itself is not 51% or more fruits and vegetables, but if instead of having like say hash browns or a pancake along with it, you can choose to have a banana or a pear or some kind of vegetable.
Do you sell much of that here in
I haven't put it on the menu yet.
Okay.
We are in the process of changing the menus right now. We also have a lettuce burger, where instead of having a bun, you just have a patty with 2 pieces of lettuce on it. It's been invented a long time ago,
Right.
you know. But when you have that along with a side of fruit, you're now eating 51% or more fruits and vegetables. And I eat a ton of fruit, just like crazy fruit.
And do you sell much fruit here?
We sell a lot of fruit, yeah. Yummy stuff. I try to pick the best stuff.
Do you think your customers here are better informed about nutrition than they were in California?
No.
Okay.
California had quite a large percentage of vegetarians.
Okay.
They were vegetarian for looks, though. They wanted to look cool.
Yeah.
You know, not necessarily health conscious.
Okay.
But there is quite a bit of people that were health conscious.
Yeah.
In addition.
Well, my image of Montana is most people in the countryside are not health conscious,
No.
and they eat a lot of fries and, quite a bit of alcohol and smoking, and I don't know how much that's changed. Maybe, in fact, my image is old-fashioned.
No, it's current. You know, eggs and bacon in the morning, ham sandwich at lunch, or steak at dinner, steak and potatoes. This is a huge steak and potato town. They also like the chicken and dumplings, and I like to make my soups something you can't get out of a can. Like you can't get chicken and dumpling out of a box.
Right.
So when I put that on the menu board, my customers immediately know that was made here.
We ate last night for the spare ribs, and they were all sold out.
Yeah,
Does that happen quite a bit?
all the time. People get really mad,
That's good
and
news.
I need them to call ahead and ask for me to reserve it.
Well,
you know.
I was glad to hear that.
And sometimes I sell out before I even open because people call ahead.
Yeah.
And they say, hey, I'm going to be there at 7 p.m. And if anybody makes reservations, my staff is instructed to ask them, would you like us to hold back one of the specials?
Yeah.
And quite often they ask us to hold back 1 or 2. And we have sold out before we open on quite a few opportunities.
That's really pretty good.
Yeah, about a third of the things we ask about. We were late in the evening, but I'd say you're sold out on about a third of what we asked.
Yeah, we make it from scratch in small batches,
Yeah.
and it's
I felt good. That's
some of these recipes take 4 hours to make,
I-
or 5 hours and 6 hours,
Yeah.
and if I mess up somewhere along the way, one little mistake during that time, if I mess my temperatures up,
Yeah,
yep.
and people are going to talk about it. David, do you have anything more?
That's we've covered a lot of the and you find Conrad to be a very Republican town to the extent that people talk about politics.
Yeah.
And what does that mean here, being conservative today?
He
You
mentioned,
know, I don't really know. I can't answer that. There is Democrats here also. One of my tenants ran for office. Her name is Ann Morin. I think she's a Democrat. You know, I don't myself get into politics too much.
Okay.
I'm not.
You're too busy cooking.
You know, I kind of feel that it's once again it's owned by the same corporation. I feel that Democrats and Republicans are probably one and the same,
Wow.
and that we are given a choice of two because they they want one or the other. I don't really know. They both have different agendas, obviously, but they're all friends, you know. And I don't know. That's just my opinion.
Uh-huh.
And I myself I feel like I'm a libertarian. I tend to vote libertarian sometimes.
Oh,
I just feel that I feel for the libertarian platform about kind of like self-awareness and just leaving people alone, limited government and stuff like that. I don't really like the government, Democrat or Republican. They're both the choice of lesser of two evils. They're both bad. They're both good. You know, I mean, I just, I voted for Trump. I like Trump. I like him because he's straight to the point. There's a lot of bad stuff about Trump too, you know. Nobody's perfect. I like Putin. I think that America paints Russia in a bad color. And Putin, I think, is awesome because of how he handles the reporters. I watched a few of his interviews, just like one or two, and they asked him, about controlling the election, messing around with the election results during the Trump-Clinton election. He said, "Why don't you ask the Democrat Party, the people that were accused and found out to control elections?" And I don't know all about that. You know, I just know what Putin said, and he was to me, straight to the point.
uh-huh.
No nonsense, and that might be why Putin likes Trump. You know, and because Trump is pretty no nonsense. I got to listen to a speaker that won the show. What's that entrepreneur show with Trump?
Oh, The Apprentice.
Apprentice. There's a man that won The Apprentice, and he came to a Cisco food show to speak. And after he won The Apprentice, he had to work for Trump, or got to the experience to work for Trump. And Trump told him, you're going to keep your job as long as you keep making decisions. I don't care if you make mistakes, but the second that you stop making a decision, you're fired. Because we don't have time to wait. You need to look at what's in front of you, decide it, make a decision. Even if it's the wrong one, we don't care. But these guys the construction workers need to start moving. And what I've learned through my experience is you don't know where you're supposed to start until you start. And then you start in on that project, they're like, oh, that's where I should have started, over in that corner. Just got to start somewhere, and you'll learn. you know.
Okay.
But
So you really appreciate Trump's willingness to take action and move.
well, yeah, I mean, I do, but I also understand that his power is limited. The politicians talk all they want to talk, and they might truly want to do those good things, but when it comes down to it, they only have so much power to do what they want to do.
Would you like to see him have more power, or to have Congress more?
I don't know if he should have more power.
So kind of.
I think he's a wild card, hothead, unpredictable. But
So Congress playing a kind of a defensive role or obstructionist role. Is that okay?
I'm tired of that crap. Every time we get someone, like there's a Republican House and Republican Senate, and then there's a Democrat in office, and they won't let them do anything.
Right.
It's bull crap. It's a big hogwash for me.
Okay.
I don't understand them sometimes. The legislatures and that their processes. It's my dad said that when they started, they were not paid. They all had good jobs, and they were able to walk away from that job and go sit down.
Right.
And also there's other people that say, why do we even do that now when we have cameras and you don't need to assemble in one location anymore. We don't need to send our representatives to Washington anymore. We can have representatives via Snapchat. My kid talks to people in Alaska on her phone.
Right.
FaceTime. Let's have lunch together.
I've had that experience. He has that experience.
Yeah.
The nature of our work does it.
I just got one a little while ago. I just got the Snapchat.
My son-in-law, his whole life is wrapped around that global conversation.
Yeah.
He's got.
Yeah, I just got on Facebook. It's amazing. I'm starting to advertise on Facebook. There's quite a bit of action on Facebook.
Really?
But also, I'm advertising, but I also understand that Facebook uses its users to advertise.
Right.
And I got a lot of action on my posts. This last weekend, I went to Glacier National Park, and I posted pictures, and my wife and sister posted, and I'm getting like 20 people are pushing the buttons on my site, and so all of those people looking at my things are looking at Facebook's advertisers just the same.
Well, shall we quit?
Yes.
You've been generous. I know you got
Yes.
pressure in the kitchen, but
Well, the soup's being put together right now. We save our juice
right.
from the chickens that we cook and the wings. We cook some wings, and that was the start of my soup. It really doesn't need much help. We threw in some vegetables. I told my cook back there to throw in some veggies. And as you saw earlier, I was making some fresh noodles. And
I saw you
I
making
got them
the
started.
noodles.
Yeah, I got them started, and I asked my dad to roll them out the rest of the way to a little bit thinner.
Yeah.
And then I'm pretty sure he cut them and put them into the soup for me. We got a good team here. My dad, he bakes all the bread here. When the burger's ordered, we cut open the hamburger bun. We actually make the hamburger buns here. They're whole wheat, and we also have a focaccia bread. Focaccia is the birth of pizza. Back in Italy, they started with just bread and olive oil
Right.
and salt, and that's called focaccia. And we do a similar recipe, put some cheese on top, and we slice it open so you can have a burger inside of it, and it's really, really, really good.
I had that last night, and I thought it was good.
It's really good with the
I
mushrooms.
I asked for the focaccia on my mushroom burger.
Yep, it's super good.
Yeah, I enjoyed that.
And we were back there slicing each piece of cheese for your burger. We cut the lettuce in the morning and all the veggies for the salad bar in the morning. And we make our own marinara sauce, as you tasted last night. And we make our own Alfredo sauce and our own garlic herb butter.
I had a salad last night, and it was later in the evening. It's still really crisp.
We keep it in cold water, ice water, and we serve it periodically through
I
the
see.
night. We spin it in a salad spinner to reduce the water.
Yeah, I mean, that,
But yeah, we you know, then we make all of our salad dressings. Also, we make our own teriyaki sauce. It's a family secret, and we make our own cocktail sauce and tartar sauce and all sorts of other sauces. It's a lot of fun. You know, we hand bread each piece of chicken. When you order chicken strips, we're making them
yeah.
back there, and we bread each piece of fish and shrimp.
That's why you got a lot of customers.
Yeah, it's funny how people. My main complaint with the customers is the time, and it takes a long time to get the food out. And it's funny because they're kind of blaming me for being popular, and for having really good food, and they're upset that I had people walk out a little while ago. I had it was right at Hoop Up, one of our biggest days of the year. And there was also numerous class reunions in town, and I was exuberantly busy, and I was training a new cook. And, you know, I cut the steak when you order it, so it's going to take a while if there's 40 people all
Right.
at the same time. And these people were really upset, and they walked out, and I got upset, you know. And I told them, you know, while you were arguing with my waitress in the bar, I was trying to get the waitress to bring the food to the table. And I told them, you owe me that money for that food. And we looked it up, and it's called non-payment for services rendered. And they are, if you walk into a restaurant, you are obligated to pay for what you ask for, regardless of how long it takes. And whatever, they went out without paying. You know, I didn't force them to pay or anything like that, but
That doesn't happen very often.
it does happen every once in a while, because with the food takes a while when there's so many customers all at the same time. I try to explain it to the customers that it's going to
You
be
know,
a
you
while.
might put that on your menu.
I'm probably going to.
You
I'm
should.
probably going to.
I mean, quality food takes time.
It does.
Yeah.
We had this experience in our restaurant. My
Mhm.
wife's a chef. She trained at Ritz Escoffier, so she's very accustomed to doing very proper, just like you were.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd have people come up. We were up outside of New York City, and so they'd order it and they'd want it right now, and you're not going to get it right now. But that didn't happen very often to us.
Now, we did get some explanation from your waitress when we arrived.
Sure.
That's right.
We try to get you before you step in it, and we try to let you know what you're stepping in.
Yeah.
But I wanted to mention Chef John Jensen. He was the first chef that trained me at the chef school, SCSCA, and he was a really cool guy because we talked about the high standards. And you know, we were supposed to cook 2 appetizers and 2 entrees per day. And the first thing, you know, he was a salty old dog, and he could salt your soup by sticking his finger in it. And the first thing you do is you give him your plates, and he feels the edge. And if it's not hot, he says, plates are not hot, try again. And you got to take everything off the plate, heat those plates up, reset it up, and re-bring it to him. Second thing he does is he sticks his finger in your starch, and he'll taste it, and he says, it needs more flavor. And what he means is it needs more salt. And he was a Danish chef, and he was 73 years old when he taught me, and he started when he was 13. And he was told to carry a nutmeg in his pocket at all times. And one day the chef asked for his nutmeg, and he didn't have it. And he took the boy into the meat cooler, hung him up on a meat hook, and beat him with a frozen fish when he was 13. But
Never forgot.
But John Jensen was a really cool guy, and he only had one eye, and I thought he was always staring at me in chef school because that one eye would point straight out and into my station, and for a while there I didn't know what eye was the bad eye, the glass eye, and I thought he was staring at me all the time, and when I found out which eye it was, I would goof off and play around on his left side, and he would catch me on occasion, and you know, but. He was a really cool guy, and he ran a plane from Hawaii to Los Angeles, 4 flights a day, and they decided to take the olives off of the menu because at that time the jumbo olives were 1.5 cents each. And if you do the math at 440 persons in each plane 4 times per day times 365 days, that olive cost 17 grand. And they figured that they could save 17